Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cheap Pops. I'm Dave. What are you doing?
What? Oh, yeah, we're getting close to Halloween. I'm Nick.
Keep the mask on. It makes you look better.
Oh, you're just jealous.
Yeah, totally jealous. Well, if you've never seen the show before, we mainly talk about wrestling, as you can see, with the old school blue steel cage and then Money in the Bank and Booty-O's and WrestleMania 3. But we also talk movies, pop culture, stuff like that, and we get weird stuff from this guy right here. We got a little bit of news to talk about before we go into our reviews, and we have a few reviews. It's getting close to Halloween, which is why he was dressed up, and we have Halloween Havoc 97 behind the hard camera right now. My favorite Halloween Havoc.
I was just gonna say that, and one of the better Halloween Havoc.
Yeah. I mean, it's got one of the greatest matches of all time with Rey Mysterio against Eddie Guerrero. So
yes.
So we both watched the Mr. McMahon documentary. What did you think about that?
Like you and I agreed on, they focused way too much on the company and not Vince McMahon himself.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about his character. They gave some background about him. He did, interviews and, he said some stuff, some really stupid stuff too, and Stone Cold Steve Austin came off really stupid saying he's not a CTE guy. Like he doesn't, believe in CTE. You might want to move over one way or the other because there you go. You're kind of behind the cage. To me, though, I didn't need to know about Shane McMahon wrestling The Undertaker at WrestleMania. What did that have to do with... I mean, I get that they were doing a Vince and Shane storyline at that point, but the documentary is called Mr. McMahon. Talk about his early life. Talk about,
yes.
And I get... They talked about his dad. They talked about his relationship with his dad, stuff like that. But Linda McMahon did, what? How many hours of interviews, and they only clipped her out a couple of times?
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that they did was already in the McMahon DVD that came out. Actually, they did more about Vince in the McMahon DVD that came out in 2006 than they talked about. And, it was interesting, but there was a lot. And even if you were not a wrestling fan, I could still see how you could say, well, you're talking about the company more than you're talking about him. Like, the steroid trial and all that stuff. Yeah, but then they go into Hulk Hogan's career and all that stuff. Like, why do I need to... Just say that he was the biggest star in the history of the company. Why? I don't know. It was interesting, but it was a kind of a miss to me.
Yeah.
Especially when they've said they did 100 hours of interviews and that's all you got was 6 episodes but
I'm wondering if they're waiting for release more of the stuff until after.
And well, yeah, I don't think it's ever going to go to trial. I think Vince will die before that thing ever goes to trial, or he'll settle out of court. But I don't know.
Just don't bring him back to the company, please.
No, it was interesting, but it's kind of a miss for me. Like,
yeah.
It was cool to see some of the stuff that was on it, but they didn't delve deep enough into him, and
not as much as we thought.
Yeah, and I mean, it was 2020, so you didn't really see how much he's deteriorated. I mean, I would have liked to have seen them, maybe show Austin stunning him a couple of times, and, and it just. Then, Bret Hart came off as one of the best ones in the whole thing because he didn't bullshit anybody. He just said what he thought. And that's one thing I love about Bret Hart.
Yes.
Bret Hart's one of my favorites. And he'll tell you what he thinks no matter what. So I really like that. What do you think about Jey Uso as the new Intercontinental Champion? At least the belt looks better.
Yes, a lot better.
Now that they've added the blue to it. I thought it was a good match with Braun Breaker, and it looks like Breaker's going to be the first challenger. The former champion. He's going to...
Second.
Well, yeah. But it just... They needed to give Jey Uso something because he's been there for so long.
Yes.
I don't know if they're going to put him into this bloodline thing with Roman Reigns and Jimmy being together now. I didn't get a chance to watch Raw, so I don't know what happened on Raw. But
I'm liking the direction that they have Xavier Woods going.
Yeah, I mean, one of the New Day has needed to turn heel for a long time, and Xavier Woods to me is the best choice. I mean,
yes,
turning Kofi really doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but Xavier can definitely be a heel.
Yes,
so.
And he's done it a little bit in TNA wrestling.
Yeah, he did it a little bit. Yeah. Did you see any of the NXT debut on the CW with CM Punk as the referee for the title match?
What?
Yeah, Trick Williams regained the NXT title, beating Ethan Page. It was a good show. They're pulling out Randy Orton in St. Louis. I'm sure they're going to bring out more people. They had Jey Uso come out in St. Louis too, and they did Yeet and whoop that trick and all that stuff. Nice. I thought it was good. I think Halloween Havoc, NXT Halloween Havoc is coming up at the end of the month. I didn't get to watch this week, so I'm not sure, but. And now Crown Jewel is coming up, and they announced that there's going to be title belts. The champion versus champion, Cody against Gunther, and then Liv Morgan against Nia Jax, and the winner each of those matches gets a Crown Jewel title, which I think is funny about the women are getting a belt that was paid for by the Saudis when women basically have very little rights in Saudi Arabia and they have to cover up their... So that to me is a little weird, but
yeah.
But I told you this and I told my other buddy about this. I have a prediction for Crown Jewel, and I've said it on our site and I'm saying it here now on our Facebook. At Crown Jewel, since Gunther did stuff with Goldberg at Bad Blood, Goldberg is going to come out in Saudi Arabia because he definitely wants that Saudi Arabia payday. He's going to spear Gunther, and that's going to cost Gunther the match against Cody Rhodes. And so that way Gunther can complain about it being a heel. Cody can still beat him clean, but it won't really be clean because Goldberg will be the one that facilitated the loss. I think that's what's going to happen. And you could do Gunther against Goldberg at Survivor Series. Maybe you do it at Royal Rumble.
Don't make it for the title.
No, it doesn't need to be a title match, and I could see Gunther saying, no, I'm not going to give you a title match. You didn't earn a title match. So, but that's my prediction. I think Goldberg's going to cost him the match at Crown Jewel.
Speaking of predictions, I clean sweeped Bad Blood.
Did you really?
Yes.
I forgot even what I pictured.
I clean sweeped it.
That's cool. I'm glad you did. So, Bad Blood I thought was a really good pay-per-view. You want to go into that now, or do you want to go into your pick now?
Let's go into Bad Blood, then we can compare it to 04, the very last Bad Blood before.
We can do that. All right. So, Bad Blood 2024, if you don't know, Bad Blood was a pay-per-view that happened in 1997, 2003, and 2004, and they're bringing it back now. So I like that because I like the old-school pay-per-view names like Judgment Day and Bad Blood, and there was a lot of good ones. Great American Bash. I wish they do... Well, they do that for NXT, but I liked it better when it was a pay-per-view. But I thought this was really cool, a really cool cinematic opening video. I say screw Kevin Dunn. The production values of this company ever since he's been gone have been amazing.
Yes.
The camera shots. They still do the motion stuff when they're kicking every once in a while, but they don't do it like they used to, where it was like an action movie where every time somebody was throwing a punch or a kick, they're shaking the camera. They don't do that as much anymore. There's a lot less camera cuts, which I really like. Bianca, Jade, and Naomi as the hosts for this thing was such a cringe thing. It just... I get that you want to get them on the show. That's fine. But just have them do one backstage segment and that's it. That you don't need them to be the host. Jade cannot talk really well, and she's not good at it yet, and Bianca is still, I don't think, really good at it, and I've never liked Naomi to begin with, so I just, and then it goes back to like the Miz being the host of WrestleMania and stuff.
Yes.
Why? It's just dumb to me. The only time I think it worked was when the New Day were the hosts of WrestleMania and they ended up announcing the Hardys, to be in the ladder match. That's the only time I thought it was actually pretty good. But you start off the pay-per-view with the Hell in a Cell. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, the main story that everybody was really talking about. What'd you think of this match?
I think it was really good.
I do too.
Except for one thing was really cringy.
And what was that?
The table leg.
Oh yeah, them using the table leg. Yeah, that.
That close, people. That close.
Yeah. My thing was the crowd starts chanting, "We want tables!" like 2 minutes into the match. And this is, to me, the cell should be enough. This match, they didn't use weapons too much. In other ones they have, like War Games, where they're just throwing, stuff in there, garbage cans and all that stuff. This one, they used it strategically, the wrench and the tables, all that. They used it well, I think.
Just like the good old-fashioned cell matches.
Yep.
And they really utilized that cell.
Yeah, and I liked that there was a hard camera inside the cell, so they weren't getting through the cell shots as much. And there was cameraman in there too, but the production is just they're doing. Yeah, it's like when TNA did Lockdown, they cut the hole in the cage for the camera to fit through. But them having that hard camera that moved in the cell was just amazing.
And let's talk about the paint. Bringing back the original color of the cell, not stupid red.
And it was a different looking cell,
Yes.
It didn't look as big, so I really liked it. It was a bloodbath. I mean, Drew McIntyre ended up having to get like a crap load of staples in the top of his head. They said, a lot of people say it was from the toolbox hitting him in the head. I don't think so. I think it was something different.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Punk hit him the flat part of the toolbox into Drew's head. Unless he caught him with the edge of it, I don't understand how it's really going to bust him open like that, but I think it was a match of the year candidate. Drew pulling out the bag, and everybody thinks it's thumbtacks, and when he pours it out, it's the friendship bracelet beads. I thought that was a great touch.
I liked how he made him eat the fucking beads.
Yeah, that was really cool, and Drew McIntyre missed a Claymore and just landed back first on the steel steps. That was gnarly. And then Punk put the beads in McIntyre's mouth and hit him with a GTS with a chain around his knee. And CM Punk won, which, Drew McIntyre doesn't need the win out of this feud, in my opinion, because he can always be the good heel no matter what he does. So I thought it was really good. And then you go to Nia Jax against Bayley. Poor Bayley. Like, anybody that gets in the ring with Nia Jax, I feel so sorry for her. Because she's just horrible. Horrible in every way. The way she talks, the way she wrestles, it's just bad.
I feel sorry for poor Liv.
Yeah, I mean, I skipped through a lot of it. Like I said, no shade on Bayley. It's just that Nia sucks.
Couldn't because I watched it live.
Yeah, I watched it after because I had to work, so... But Tiffany Stratton came out and acted like she was going to cash in, and then Nia Jax caught her, so she backpedaled. And Nia Jax did an avalanche Samoan drop, and then did the bonsai drop, which just looks bad every time she does it. Nia retains. I did not want to see this match at all. And the next match I thought was really good. Damian Priest against Finn Balor.
It was pretty good.
It was. I mean, there was a lot of interference from the Judgment Day, which I expected, and Damian Priest got the win. They're never going to run with Balor. They were going to, at least I think they were going to, before he got injured the one time when he had the Universal title. But it just seems like he's a lot like Rollins. He's got the athleticism. He's got some charisma. But unless he's not doing the demon, he's got to be doing the demon for the crowd to ever get into it.
Yes.
He doesn't have the personality he needs. He's just never going to have. So, but I thought it was a good match. The other match that had a lot of story to it that I really liked, Liv Morgan against Rhea Ripley with Dominic Mysterio in a shark cage hanging above the ring. Or not above the ring, but, in the entranceway, well, yeah.
Poor Dom fell out of the cage, though.
Yep, he fell out and he was hanging by his ankle on a chain, and Rhea hit him like a piñata with a kendo stick.
Like a what?
Like a piñata.
A piñata?
and then Raquel Rodriguez came out and helped Liv Morgan, and not that she has a lot to fall out, but I was really wondering how she did not fall out of that top she was wearing, because it did not look like it was on there very well. Liv Morgan got DQ'd, so that keeps Rhea from winning the title. It was a good match. I thought it was good. Liv Morgan is really impressing me more and more, and
I love her more as a heel than I do as a babyface.
Yeah, she's great as a heel. Like, this whole stuff with Dominic is perfect.
Yeah.
She, it's like the jock and the head cheerleader. You know what I mean? It's, or they're like the popular kids that were just bullies and were assholes, and it's just it's the mean girl and then the asshole, dude. The asshole, guy that thinks he's tougher than everybody else. So,
classic 80s movie right there.
Yeah, right. But the main event, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes against the New Bloodline, some Solo Sikoa, what's his name?
Baby Umaga!
And Jacob Fatu. Cody Rhodes going full-on John Cena with the marching band playing his entrance music. And Roman had a symphony, which was cool, and singers. I wrote, Jacob Fatu was so impressive. Just everything he does is amazing. I thought it was an okay match, but it went too long. Roman Reigns' matches, I don't know why they feel like they have to drag them out, but they do. And Cody Rhodes, we've said this before, his popularity is waning a lot. They used to be singing his music. They used to be cheering for him like crazy. They are not doing that for him.
I want to see him turn heel. And we know how good of a fucking heel he can be.
I think he will eventually, because if you ever saw his Ring of Honor heel turn, or being a heel in TNA, or when it was Impact, you really need to see what he can do, because he's really good. Cody did a splash on Fatu through the announce table off the top rope, and fans were chanting, "This is awesome," but I wrote, not really, because it just wasn't. Not every match is awesome, It just isn't. It was interesting. It was a good way to progress the story. Jimmy Uso came back. He came out with a hoodie and knocked out the Tongans. They telegraphed it with the camera angle because he was standing there, and he's just standing there, and the Tongans are just standing there next to him. He's in between them, and Solo's looking at him. Nobody's paying attention. Michael Cole's freaking out. And it just, but I mean, it was cool because they really need to do Bloodline against Bloodline, and from what I thought I saw a reading that Jimmy Uso went to Raw and tried to convince Jey Uso to be a part of it, and Jey Uso said no. I haven't watched Raw yet, so I think eventually Jey Uso will say yes. So, but
what's really starting to get good is that they turned Kevin Owens heel again.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying it's because he's leaving. He's going to go to AEW, so they're turning him heel now. I
don't see him leaving.
I mean, if he gets enough money, he might. But I mean, I think he's better as a heel. I mean, watch his Ring of Honor stuff. And just him with El Generico, Sami Zayn. He's so good as a heel. Like when he was raging against Jim Cornette, the promos that he would cut against Jim Cornette were just amazing. Well, even in WWE, he's been a good heel, even in NXT. So I think it'll be good.
Two great feuds that he's doing because he accidentally hit Randy Orton, and Randy Orton
punched him in the mouth, or forearmed him in the mouth. Yeah, so they can go with him and Cody, him and Randy. It'll be really good. But Roman won the match with a spear, and then The Rock came out with his stupid People's Championship belt. And I said this to you, he looked like a fan in the front row doing cosplay of The Rock with a replica belt. That's what he looked like. It was horrible. The fact that he's He's like Jericho and Mercedes Moné. They think that everything that they're involved in is amazing. Everything that they come up with is great. And I'm not interested to see The Rock in all this. I don't care. I don't care if he wrestles Cody. I don't care if he wrestles Roman. I don't care if that's what the WrestleMania main event's going to be. I don't want to see it anymore. I just don't.
No.
He's jacked up. The one match that he had was okay, but he's not getting any younger. He's doing all these movies, and he's gassed to the gills. And then I went back and I watched some of his, because I bought a Best of 2000s DVD set, and I watched a lot of his matches. He never had good matches. That Iron Man match that he had with Triple H wasn't a good match. We've said it, if you watch any of his matches, they go out to the floor immediately. They're out in the crowd. And, the stuff he had with Mick Foley, that was Mick Foley. I'm sorry. You can like The Rock all you want. Mick Foley carried those matches. And the matches he had with Triple H. I went back and watched SummerSlam 98, the ladder match. His matches don't look good to me, so I don't know. I'm not interested to see him wrestle again.
I have to say The Undertaker carried the match for, I think it was King of the Ring. It was the first Blood match. I think they did. Was it the first Blood or not?
I don't know. I didn't watch all of his matches, just some of them.
It was 99. I know that because The Undertaker was still Ministry of Darkness.
Oh yeah, it was a world title match. Yeah, because that was the same pay-per-view where Vince and Shane.
Yes, it was King of the Ring. Yes,
had the ladder match against Austin for control of the company. So, let's see. We'll go. So, in your opinion, how high would you rank that pay-per-view in total with the matches that were there?
Probably 7 out of 10.
I could go with that. Yeah, because the Nia Jax match kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And to me, I get that they're doing, these matches that have stories, but I used to like the pay-per-views where a lot of people had matches. Yeah, the matches were a little bit shorter, but a lot of these people that have storylines aren't getting on the pay-per-views. That's why I say they need to go back to brand-exclusive pay-per-views, because everybody had a story, they had a bunch of matches, and you could build. And I was listening to Chris Van Vliet. He has a really popular podcast. I think it's like the #1 wrestling podcast out right now. And he was saying that the brand-exclusive pay-per-views didn't focus on the stories because they were every other month. I was like, yeah, but they got everybody's story onto those brand-exclusive pay-per-views. When you do the ones where Raw and SmackDown are represented, you have to do matches for both of those brands. But when they're brand-exclusive, you could do the Bloodline and this Kevin Owens stuff that's going on. You can do all that on one pay-per-view instead of, having the Raw ones on there too. I much prefer the brand exclusive ones.
Yes.
So we'll go to Bad Blood 2004, which was
a brand exclusive.
Get your sign. Yeah, it was. Get your sign out. So this is your favorite Hell in a Cell, right?
Yes. Hands down, absolute favorite Hell in a Cell.
So, how recently did you watch this? Because I didn't.
It was Sunday.
Okay. So, the first match, Chris Benoit and Edge, they beat La Resistance by DQ. I'm just going with the results because I really don't. I watched it, but I really don't. I've been watching so much stuff lately to get ready for this. With binge watching the McMahon documentary and all that stuff, and
tell you the truth,
watching Wrestledream, and
I fast forward through most of it just to get to my favorite Hell in a Cell match to watch it.
Right. The next match, Chris Jericho beat Tomko, and Trish Stratus was with Tomko. Randy Orton beat Shelton Benjamin, and he retained the IC title. This was a really good match.
Yes, it was.
Shelton Benjamin was cooking in 2004.
Yes.
Later in the year, he would win the Intercontinental title at Taboo Tuesday out of nowhere from Chris Jericho. they could have done a lot with Shelton
Yes.
Benjamin back in the day. And now he's in AEW, so hopefully they'll do something with him.
And I still say that back in the day, he deserved a freaking world title shot.
Yeah, I do.
Run.
Yeah, I do too. Fatal 4-way for the women's title, Trish with Tomko against Victoria, who's coming in as champion, against Lita and Gail Kim.
This is still when they didn't care very much about the women's division.
But you had a lot of good women competitors, and they weren't really doing the bra and panty stuff in the middle of the year. They did a little bit of it in Taboo Tuesday when they did like the schoolgirl match and stuff.
Yeah.
But this was a really good Fatal 4-way. I mean, Trish Stratus, one of the in my opinion, the greatest female wrestler of all time. Victoria, great female. I mean, her street fight that she had with Trish in 2002, amazing. The stuff she did in TNA as Tara, amazing.
You got to get 3 hugs from her?
Yeah, I went down to meet her in New York City, in Queens, and when I told her I drove 4 hours just to meet her, she was so happy she gave me 3 hugs, which, that's worth the trip right there. Lita, Hall of Famer, all-time great. Her broken neck kind of, stymied her career a little bit, but even then, the career that she had was...
And she got pops like, Stone Cold Steve Austin and the stuff we get.
Oh, yeah, the crowd really loved Lita.
Yes.
I mean, she was Jeff Hardy popular. I mean, Matt wasn't, but she was. So, and then Gail Kim, not a great run in WWE, but in TNA, I mean, she built that women's division in TNA. Her and Awesome Kong. Can't leave out Awesome Kong.
No.
So, and then Eugene against the Coach.
Oh, my God.
And Eugene won, which he should have, because Coach was... Chris Van Vliet recently did a podcast with the Coach. Coach is really good at talking about the business. He's
yes.
I mean, you may have hated his character back in the day, but Coach is a smart guy, and he tells good stories about the business. So, and he was a great heel.
Yes.
Really a great heel. Just he didn't have good matches. The match with Tajiri actually I thought was okay, but I mean Eugene at this point they were still going with him. It wasn't until 2005 where they really kind of pulled back on the Eugene character when they had Kurt Angle pretty much eat him up.
Yes.
Was it SummerSlam that he
Yeah,
beat
SummerSlam.
Yeah, so... and then Chris Benoit retained the World Heavyweight title against Kane. I thought it was a good match. I've said before I have trouble watching Benoit's matches because of what he became, but he had good matches, especially in 2004 when he was world champion. Kane's always had good matches, and he's your favorite wrestler, so...
Absolutely.
Yep. So, I mean, and I'll always enjoy Kane's matches. Kane, could always put on a good show. I mean, when back in 98, 99, when he was really athletic, the stuff that he could do was amazing. But he changed with the times, and when the mask came off, he completely changed his character. So I'll always enjoy Kane.
I want to talk about the 2000 Kane with drop kicks and shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what year was it? Was it 2001? Where he picked up the Royal Rumble, where he just picked up rope. I mean, that's just insane, the stuff that he could do. He'll always be an all-timer. He's a Hall of Famer now. He went in last year, right? So
no, a couple of years ago.
But then the main event, a 47-minute Hell in a Cell match. Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
The longest Hell in a Cell match.
And your favorite, not my favorite. My favorite is Undertaker against Shawn Michaels, the very first one. But it's great. I mean, you put Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a match against each other, it's always going to be good. My favorite Triple H and Shawn Michaels match was Royal Rumble 2004. It was
the last man standing match.
Yeah, and I liked Taboo Tuesday when Shawn Michaels had a legit knee injury, and Triple H worked on it the whole match, and Jerry Lawler was like, oh, well, I don't think he's really injured. And JR's like, I've seen the MRI. He's injured. And then when Triple H is going after it, JR was like, well, if it's not injured, he shouldn't go after it. And then King was like, well, if it is injured. And JR's like, oh, if it is injured. Just their stuff on that paper was really, really good.
I want to say my second favorite match of theirs was the 3 Stages of Hell.
Yeah, that from Armageddon. Yeah, that was really good too. And, of course, the street fight in 2002, Shawn Michaels comeback match.
Absolutely.
Is amazing. I really liked this pay-per-view. I think this one is better than the this year's Bad Blood.
Yes.
Just because, I don't want to say for the nostalgia factor, but just the match quality. I mean, Benoit and Edge against La Resistance, Jericho against Tomko, the Fatal 4-Way, even Eugene and Coach had story.
Yes.
You know, Benoit against Kane for the world title.
And they still had a great story behind that.
They did too, yeah. And then a 47-minute Hell in a Cell match with Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
And absolute chef's kiss of a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, it was really, really good. So let's go to grab your sign, because it's not your Nick pick, but is a watcher of our show. He actually was a listener to my old, but mine and my former buddies, the comic wrestling podcast back in the day.
There's a sheet pop for you, people.
Yeah, right. But he picked Royal Rumble 90. He actually asked me to do this a long time ago, and I just completely forgot. So, and I actually do really like Royal Rumble 90. Did you watch any of it?
Bits and pieces.
Okay.
Like I said, I've really got into a different documentary on Netflix. Sorry!
Yeah, so, this, Tony Schiavone and Jesse Ventura, the commentators, they're in Orlando. So Jesse Ventura has a Mickey Mouse sweatshirt and the Mickey Mouse ears, and then he gives Tony Schiavone the goofy hat with the floppy ears. So that was funny. I mean, Ventura's classic. I really hope that with him signing this WWE Legends deal and Saturday Night's main event coming back, that they have Ventura on the first episode doing color commentary, because that would just be... To hear him giving shit to Cole... Just have him and Michael Cole, and have him giving shit to Michael Cole like he used to Vince McMahon back in the day would just be classic.
Yes.
The first match, the Rougeaus against the Bushwhackers, and this was the Fabulous Rougeaus' last pay-per-view match in the WWF. It was supposed to be the SummerSlam previous, but they asked them to come back for the Royal Rumble to do one last match. Mostly a comedy match. The Orlando crowd was incredibly loud through this entire pay-per-view. The Bushwhackers got the win with the battering ram, and they beat up Jimmy Hart a little bit too, which is always Jimmy Hart's classic when he would scamper around the ring trying to get away from people. It's really good.
Yeah, this is back when still the '80s tactics were still working. People.
Yeah. And then they did an interview with Mean Gene with DiBiase and Virgil, and he revealed that he drew number 1 when he had been 30 last year, and if he didn't draw 30 last year, he paid people off to get the higher number. So, but it's the $1 Million Man. That's what he's going to do. Everybody has a price.
I still say that he deserved a world title run.
Right, but the $1 Million Championship belt was a good consolation prize.
Yes.
It was something that he could really, sink his teeth into storyline-wise. So, yeah, I think he should have had a world title run, even if it was just, from one Saturday Night's main event to the other or something like that, or win it at a pay-per-view and lose it at a Saturday Night's main event, something like that.
Yeah,
I think that would have been good. The next match, this match is hard to describe. The Genius against Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You could not, you could do this today, but you would have to do it authentic. You could not do the effeminate gay character like the Genius did it back then, where he was making fun of it. You could not do that today. You would pretty much get canceled. The Brutus Beefcake did a reverse atomic drop, and the Genius grabbed his thighs and rolled around the ring. It was just really weird the way he sold it. And they did a ref bump, and then Brutus started cutting the Genius's hair. Mr. Perfect came out and interfered and hit Brutus in the ribs with one of the heavy, kind of like the chair you're in now,
yes.
But even heavier, where it has the seat cushion, but it's really heavy metal, and he just was, he wasn't really hitting him in the ribs, but it looked like he was, so. And so it was a double DQ, which...
Damn, I thought they actually...
Yeah. The next match is one of my personal favorites, and this is back when I was a kid. Well, not quite a kid. I was a teenager. I had somebody who was a tape trader make me a tape of my favorite matches. This was back before I was actually buying the Coliseum videos. So he made me, I think it had like Hogan against Warrior from WrestleMania 6. It had the Rumble match from 1989. A bunch of matches. And this was one of the ones that I wanted on it. A submission match, Rugged Ronnie Garvin against Greg the Hammer Valentine. They were chopping the shit out of each other through this entire match. Like I said, it's one of my personal favorites. And Ronnie Garvin got Greg Valentine to tap out. Well, not tap out, but because they weren't doing that then. To submit in a sharpshooter. It wasn't exactly the way that Bret Hart puts it on. It was a little. He had the legs a little bit different, but it was still. Ronnie Garvin put on a really cool looking sharpshooter. So, but if I could recommend one match, watch the submission match. It's not even like, I don't even think it's 10 minutes long. And then to hear Shivani and Ventura's commentary during this match was great too. They were a great team. My favorite of them is always Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon. A lot of people prefer Ventura and Vince. I liked Ventura and Vince because he gave shit. Well, he gave shit to Monsoon too, but he really talked about the toupee and all that stuff for Vince, so. But Ventura was on fire for this one, and Shivani was he's always good at playing the good guy, announcer. So,
but still, hands down, I love Jesse, but I love the Weasel and Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah, Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan will always be my favorite commentary team of all time. Then they did a Brother Love segment with Sherry, Queen Sherry, and then Sapphire. I thought it was funny. It ended up Sapphire slapping Sherry, and then Macho Man came out to confront her, and then Dusty Rhodes came out too. Macho Man got pulled to the back by officials. Dusty slammed Brother Love, and then Sapphire slapped him, and then Dusty threw him out of the ring. I mean, the Brother Love segments were always usually comedy segments, so I think the only really serious one they did was when Earthquake, did the Earthquake splash on Hulk Hogan like 3 times, and Hogan was out. Well, he was out filming a movie, but But Brother Love was always a good character in my opinion. Always a good heel character. That sleazy evangelist kind of character that was always about the money and
freaking Bruce Pritchard.
Stuff. Yeah. The next match, Boss Man against Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Boss Man had leaned down at this point. He wasn't like 400 pounds. He could he could move around the ring when he was big, but he was really moving fast in this match. It was a brawl. The ref saw Boss Man use the nightstick, so he got DQ'd. Hacksaw hit Boss Man with the 2x4, and then he had like Slick bent over the middle rope. Slick was trying to get away, and he chopped him in the ass with the 2x4 and knocked him out of the ring, so that was cool. And then they did a lot of classic, they weren't classic then, but the pre-match Rumble promos by everybody that's in the match.
Oh, I missed those.
They were so good. Especially Macho Man. Macho Man was just the best.
Yeah.
My favorite one was Demolition because, of course, they're...
I think this was the Royal Rumble where they both started out.
No, that was 89.
That was 89?
That was 89 where they were number 1 and 2. Ted DiBiase comes out as number 1. Coco Beware is number 2. Coco's eliminated before number 3 comes out. And then Marty Jannetty comes out with music. First time they had done music. And he gets eliminated before number 4 comes out. Number 4, do you remember who number 4 was?
I can barely remember.
Jake the Snake Roberts, who was in a huge feud with the $1 Million Man all through 1989. The music, Jake the Snake's music hits, and the crowd goes fucking insane. Went nuts. And this crowd was hot. That Orlando crowd, I don't know why if they never went back again. That crowd was just nuts. And I wrote down, they wouldn't do music again until 1996. And Jake was the last one to come out to music in that Royal Rumble match. which I thought was... But then again, not everybody had music, in 80 and 90, so... I wrote, crowd goes crazy for every babyface, especially Piper, who ran out like a madman. Managers got to stay at ringside, so you had like Fuji, Virgil, and Sherry out around the ring at the same time.
I think this was the last time they had the managers out at ringside.
I think they did it one more year, but I'm not sure. And I wrote, when Dusty Rhodes came out, it really is true. At this point in his career, wrestlers just had to run into his elbow and run into his offense. He wasn't moving for that shit at all. It was just so funny. Even the Red Rooster got a big ovation. Piper and Bad News eliminated each other, which led to their controversial match at WrestleMania 6. Do you remember why it was controversial?
Because he went two-face on it. Because he was half painted white.
Piper painted half of his body black and put on a Michael Jackson glove, and Bad News Brown was black. So it kind of racist. You're doing half blackface, so, Bad News didn't object to it because he did the damn match.
Really,
so,
plus, if you think about it, Piper was doing it as, like, what do you want to call it? Braveheart movie. Like that, with the war paint.
Yeah, but it was also blackface too, but... I mean,
can we Roddy Vince on it?
Yeah, he's getting... Well, no, because that had to be Roddy Piper's idea. I'm sorry. But they fought all the way to the back, and that, leads up to their WrestleMania 6 match. The crowd goes absolutely batshit for the Ultimate Warrior when he comes out. Hulk Hogan was number 25. He immediately eliminates Jimmy Snuka and then Haku. The Warrior eliminates Tito Santana. Honky Tonk Man gets eliminated. Shawn Michaels comes out and then gets eliminated within 45 seconds by the Ultimate Warrior.
Hey, this is back when he still had hair.
Yeah, and Rick Martel got eliminated by the Warrior, and that leads to Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior face-to-face in the middle of the ring. They do a couple shoulder blocks, and then they do a crisscross where they're both running the ropes, and they hit each other with a double clothesline, and they're both down. The next guy out is the Barbarian, and he's dropping elbows on him and all that stuff. Rick Rude comes out before the 10-second clock, even starts, and starts getting on the Warrior. And Mr. Perfect, with the perfect number, is number 30, which he revealed in a interview with me and Gene earlier in the night, which, whatever. Mr. Perfect ends up being the last in there with Hulk Hogan, does a perfect plex, which is a pinfall move, and Ventura says he could have pinned him, which is great, and immediate Hulk up. He does a catapult. He catapults Mr. Perfect into the post, which Mr. Perfect was always great at getting the height and his head right into the ring post. Just great. Hulk Hogan won, and he poses and shows off a huge Hulkamania banner that somebody made out of a bed sheet, which was actually pretty cool looking. That said, Hulkamania will live forever. This is one of my favorite Royal Rumble pay-per-views. The undercard matches, some of them were okay. I mean, I really liked Hacksaw against Hacksaw against Boss Man because it was a great brawl, and like I said, the submission match. But I want to go through how many of the wrestlers I have met that were, or personalities on this show that I have met that were a part of this. Get ready for this list. Bushwhacker Luke, the Rougeau brothers, Jimmy Hart, Howard Finkel, the referee Danny Davis, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, the Genius, Mean Gene Okerlund, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Hacksaw, Slick, Ted DiBiase, Coco Beware, Marty Jannetty, Jake the Snake Roberts, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, Axe, Smash, Haku, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the Warlord, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, the Ultimate Warrior, Tito Santana, the Honky Tonk Man, Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, and the Barbarian. That's a hell of a list of all the guys that were involved in that pay-per-view that I met.
You could make a freaking Royal Rumble.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, I'm not bragging. Well, I am kind of bragging, but I spent a lot of money to meet a lot of these guys. So, but it just, in one pay-per-view alone, that list of how many legends I've met is just crazy to me. You didn't watch this yet because I haven't gotten it to you yet, but you go, we'll go with what you got.
This came from Syracuse, and I really want to thank her for it. Undertaker, it's hard to pin down the year this Undertaker is because of, I know back in 91 he had 0 tattoos.
That might be the end of 91 because he was starting doing,
But that looks awesome.
I said to him the face is kind of wonky, but it's really well done. The actual action figure is really well done.
I'll let you show these off because these are for you.
Oh, and he's not giving these to me. I actually paid for these. When he showed me this, I had to own this. The Warlord with the whole, the W staff and the lightning bolts and the chains and like the Phantom of the Opera style mask. I had to have this. This was awesome.
Ooh, I see ones I want on the back.
Oh yeah, Erwin R. Shyster, King Booker, Ultimate Warrior, and Tugboat. I would like to have Tugboat.
Yes, that's the one I want.
This is the new Foundation Jim the Anvil Neidhart, but also, you can't really see it here, but it has the Who mask as an alternative head, and I went and looked for images of this. If you don't know what Who was, it was Jim the Anvil Neidhart when they were trying to use him and didn't want to use him as Jim the Anvil Neidhart. They put a red and yellow mask on him, and he wore just regular tights, not the long tights and the singlet that he used to wear. And the announcers would say, "Who is that? It's Who." It didn't last long, but the fact that when you take off the jacket that he has on here and the pants, he has the Who outfit on underneath.
That's
and you can put the head on
cool.
it. That's one of the main reason why I wanted this one, because that's just awesome to me that they didn't have to do that. That's Mattel. There's no way the WWE thought of that. Mattel thought of that. Somebody at Mattel thought of that. So, but before you grab your next one, I just bought this today. Toxic Morty from Rick and Morty, one of my favorite shows of all time. This is going on my DVD shelf, so I had to buy that.
1991 Hulk Hogan. I think this is 91, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 91. And it's got the coked out face of Hulk Hogan with the bulging eyes, which they're putting on all of them, but still a cool action.
Yes, and I still think this was cool. I still want to find an extra one because the box was ripped.
Well, the Walmart that I used to work at has a bunch of those right now, so...
Sweet.
So you might want to check that out. So yeah, that's a really cool Hulk Hogan. It's got the Winged Eagle belt. I really like that one. The only thing I don't like is, well, maybe because he tears his shirts, it has the Velcro, but it just, to me, I'd rather, they not do that.
And speaking of Hulk Hogan, that's who's behind the hard cam.
Yeah, so he's doing a promo right now talking about how he's not going to wrestle Roddy Piper later in the night. But the next pay-per-view I really enjoyed. You didn't get to watch it yet, but you will because it's there. And make sure you take your pin home with you, too. Wrestledream by AEW. I really enjoyed this, except for the ending, which was just not good. But a great thing with the male models, the male models that were on WWE TV, and now they're on AEW. They had Rico Constantino come out as their manager, and he had the mutton chops. He had like the leopard skin, suit on. It was just, that was awesome. And if you don't know who Rico was, he was the image consultant or the stylist for Billy and Chuck in 2002. And then he did stuff in 03 and 04 where he was kind of androgynous and, all that.
I miss Rico.
Yeah, Rico was great. If they do more with him, if he's actually a permanent part of this,
yes!
It was on the pre-show, which I haven't watched yet. I will watch it eventually. But, I mean, this pay-per-view is 4 hours, so I wasn't going to watch the pre-show and then watch the whole show just to review this. The shirt I'm wearing, Switchblade Jay White. He was in the opening match.
And me, I'm wearing...
Taz, the human suplex machine.
Yes.
The opening match, Switchblade Jay White against Hangman Adam Page. It was a good match. I'm not going to go blow by blow on these. Hangman tried to do a buckshot lariat, flipped over the rope. Jay White immediately caught him and hit him with the Blade Runner. That was awesome. I love the psychology of Jay White attacking Hangman Adam Page's knee the whole match. I love that old school stuff where they attack a body part. I think Hook needs to do more of that because his style is so much like Taz's. I really think he needs to do more of that too. Jay White got the win, which I was surprised about.
Speaking of a wrestler that deserves a lot of credit, who's on camera right now, Alex Wright.
Yeah, I really liked Alex. Alex Wright was a good performer.
Yes.
I think he could have done more, but once they turned him into Berlin, it was kind of over for him.
Yeah.
But the dancing and the the leather jacket and all that stuff, that was really cool. I really liked Alex Wright. Well, like I said, I was surprised Jay White won. The next match was a really good match, too. Mariah May against Willow Nightingale for the Women's Championship. To go from Mercedes Moné against Hikaru Shida, which was just a dumpster fire the month before, to this match with Mariah May and Willow Nightingale, it's night and day. It was a really good match. Mariah May won and retained the title. Willow Nightingale is really, really good. I hope she gets a title run at some point. But, I mean, Mariah May is probably going to lose it to Toni Storm when Toni Storm ends up coming back. So, Jack Perry against Shibata for the TNT title. It was hard-hitting. I mean, Shibata's strong style all the way. Jack Perry still sucks. He's always going to suck.
Yes.
He can drive that black, short bus all he wants. He's still going to suck.
What was the meme that you sent me? This is Jack Perry. Neither one of us can draw very well.
It was a guy holding up a sign of a stick figure, and he said, "This is Jack Perry, and neither of us can draw very well." Such good stuff. Shibata got pinned, though, while he was doing a rear naked choke on Jack Perry, so Jack Perry retained the title. Jack Perry was still hitting Shibata. Daniel Garcia came out to confront Jack Perry, and then MJF returned. Perry hit Garcia in the back with the title belt, and MJF pummels Garcia, and then Adam Cole, baby, makes a return after a long absence with the ankle injury, and runs off MJF. Awesome. Love having Adam Cole back.
Yes.
That's good stuff. And everything that I'm telling you, it doesn't take away from these matches. And you sometimes don't watch all the modern stuff anyways, but
I'm sorry, I'm classic, people.
But I would suggest the women's title match because that was good. This match was my favorite match of the night. Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. I'm always going to screw up that name. And Ricochet. A triple threat.
Surprise, surprise, Ricochet's in AEW.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're going to do the Will Ospreay Ricochet thing for a while.
Oh, look, your favorite wrestler, Mongo.
Oh, yeah, Mongo, yeah. He's just so awesome. Takeshita's really impressive. I think he needs to be a world champ at some point. This match was high spots. I mean, Takeshita can do them. Ricochet's going to do them. Ospreay's going to do them. I mean, they were choreographed well. They looked good, but and Excalibur called Ospreay Ricochet a few times, which he's getting the JR disease because JR used to do that with Matt and Jeff Hardy all the time. He used to call, Matt Jeff and Jeff Matt and, all the time. So, Callis tried to use the screwdriver and got stopped, and then Kyle Fletcher came out and hit Ospreay in the back of the head with the screwdriver. Takeshita wins, new international champion. Love it. Takeshita is great, and I love that he got the win. And then they do the return of Swerve. Prince Nana comes out and hawks his coffee, does his dance, because he's selling the coffee now. PrinceNanaCoffee.com.
Sweet.
And brings out Swerve. Swerve does a promo. And MVP and Shelton Benjamin interrupt and say that, Swerve should be with them, that Nana has done nothing for him. Swerve sides with Nana, says he's family, so that's really cool. I was hoping that this would be the debut of Bobby Lashley, because I thought it was the perfect time to do it, but I'm sure they're going to do it at some point. This is going to be the Hurt Business 2.0. You've got MVP, you've got Shelton Benjamin. I don't know if Cedric Alexander's contract is coming up soon, but even if it's just MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Bobby Lashley, you've got a good group right there. So.
Yes.
The next match, I'm not high on Lucha Libre, but I'm really high on the Beast Mordos, who Bruce in like CMLL or whatever, or AAA, and he was Black Taurus in Impact.
And I do have, did get that action figure.
I do have the Black Taurus action figure, which is cool. 2 out of 3 falls, though. I have never seen a 2 out of 3 falls lucha match. It was a lucha high spots match with Hologram against the Beast Mordos. Hologram took the first fall, and then Mordos took the second fall. This was the first time that Hologram had been pinned in AEW, but Hologram ended up winning. I don't remember what move he did to win the match. I'm really impressed with Mordos, though. Hologram's nice. I mean, I don't want to say he's a generic luchador, but Commander does the same stuff. Vikingo does the same stuff. Penta does the same stuff. Ray Phoenix does the same stuff. I'm not throwing shade on them, but if you've seen one lucha match, you've seen them all, unfortunately.
The one thing I want to say, since you mentioned Vikings, I'm so glad that they got rid of the names. They're back to being the War Raiders.
Are they going by?
Yes, the War Raiders.
See, I didn't watch Raw, so are they going by Hanson and Rowe? Or are they still going Eric and Ivar?
Eric and Ivar.
Oh, man.
But they are calling them the War Raiders.
Okay, that's cool.
That I can be happy with.
Right. No, that's cool. I do like that. So I haven't watched Raw, so that's cool. But I'm glad that Rowe's back, so that's... the next match I think you would like, too. Darby Allin against Brody King.
I love Darby.
Brody dominated him. I mean, he was flipping him around like a rag doll. He actually... Darby was on the ring or on the floor, and Brody King took the ring steps and set them on top of Darby, and then walked up the ring steps, putting his full body weight, and then stomped as he was on top of the steps. Awesome, just awesome. And then Excalibur says the ring he isn't going to get disqualified for using the ring steps because the ring steps are part of the ring and that's part of the field of play. When the fuck has that ever been part of the match where you say, "Oh, it's part of the ring, so it's you know." People used to get disqualified for letting people into the ring post too much. That's just dumb, and trying to explain something like that away is just same with. We talked about this on the last show. Randy Orton picking people up and just dropping them on the announce table a bunch of times.
Oh, God.
And right in front of the referee. If you're going to be where Brody King is just throwing Darby Allin around them, you know, if you're going to make that real, make the whole thing real. Just,
yes.
You know, it just, stuff like that chaps my ass. But Darby Allin ended up getting the win. He made a frenetic comeback, and he did a coffin drop onto the steps. Brody King was on the steps, and it was cool. The next match I fast forwarded. Private Party against the Young Bucks. I knew what this match was going to be.
Super kick!
Yeah, it was just high spots and super kicks. I wrote great showing. I watched the tail end of it. Private Party's good, but the Bucks retained the belts. What was the point?
Right.
Private Party had a win over the Young Bucks in the first couple months of AEW. Why? The Young Bucks don't need the titles anymore. They can still be asshole EVPs without the title belts. Just
it needs a hard reset, like you said.
I think they're doing some things right, but at the end of this, I'll tell you what they're not doing right.
Mm.
The Ring of Honor title, Mark Briscoe against the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. JR was out for commentary. We're going to meet JR in November. I've met JR before. Go home, JR. I'm sorry. You're like Shivani. You add nothing, and you're getting it. I'm sorry.
I love JR. Love him.
I'm sorry. We're gonna sound like a broken record, but Jericho looks like shit. And him going back to the short tights doesn't make him look any better. Not just physically, but what he does in the ring. He's just horrible now. And And Tony Schiavone accidentally called Chris Jericho Chris Joker at one point, which is perfect. You know, just, I mean, it was a mistake, but it was just, Big Bill and Orange Cassidy got involved. And Jericho gave Mark Briscoe a J Driller. The one man on the planet that I would not want to give me a pile driver where my arms are pinned back to is Chris fucking Jericho. Yeah. I'm sorry. He's the last person I want to be giving me a fucking pile driver when he looks like fuck pie physically. Yeah. Sorry. Nah. But Mark Briscoe retained the title, which fucking great. So.
Love the jacket that the Macho Man's wearing with the lightning.
Yeah, and the Slim Jim. Yeah, that's awesome. And the main event, Bryan Danielson against Jon Moxley for the AEW title. The stipulations are, if Danielson loses the title, he is no longer a full-time wrestler. He retires, but not totally. Moxley's music sucks. He was so much better when he was coming out to Wild Thing, but this weird, instrumental, like, trying to be spooky music, but it's really not. It's just horrible. And they're definitely getting their full money's worth out of Final Countdown for Bryan Danielson, because they gave him the New Jack treatment where they played it for a while they were brawling outside the ring before the match started. I wrote this down. Moxley tells Marina Shafir to pull up the ring, the mats around the ring so he can hit, throw Danielson on the concrete. I wrote this down. This made me laugh out loud. The best match Marina Shafir's ever had was the match she had against that mat. Because she had so much trouble getting the mat up off the floor. It was just... It may sound stupid, but to me, it made me laugh so hard when that popped in my head. Danielson did 3 different Busaiku knee strikes and still can't pin Moxley. But Moxley chokes out Danielson, and that's the end of the match. Very underwhelming finish for Bryan Danielson's last full-time match. And so Moxley becomes a 4-time champ. And then the Blackpool Combat Club come out, and they hand Moxley a plastic bag, because he's going to put the plastic bag over Danielson's head again. Wheeler Yuta and Darby Allin run out. Darby Allin was supposed to have a world title match against Danielson anyways, not at the pay-per-view, but at Grand Slam. So it makes sense that Darby Allin's going to come out to help. And Wheeler Yuta has been conflicted, so he's going to come out and help. Wheeler Yuta turns heel. They duct tape Darby Allin's arms to the bottom rope. And Wheeler is the one that puts the bag over Danielson's head to choke him out. And then Private Party and Jeff Jarrett come out to try to help. And they get beat down by the Blackpool Combat Club. And then they put a chair around Bryan Danielson's neck, and Claudio's the one that stomps on the chair to break his neck. The locker room empties, and then they show like Danielson all messed up, and then they show like Darby Allin sitting outside near the barricade, all beat up and all forlorn. Weird way to end the pay-per-view, but the way I look at it is. This was the perfect opportunity for Darby Allin to be the one to end Danielson's career, to win the AEW world title. Why does Moxley need this?
Right.
Why does he need this? Why does he need the world title? This reminds me of when they were doing the Scramble match and Punk was going in as the world champion, and they had Randy Orton punt him in the head so Punk couldn't compete in the match. Jericho wins the title after being beaten almost to death by Shawn Michaels earlier in the night.
Yep.
And they do a ladder match with Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho the next month. That feud didn't need the world title at all.
Nope.
You could have done a ladder match for, you could have had Shawn Michaels say, "There's nothing on the line. I just want to beat you up in a ladder match. I just want to kick the crap out of you in a ladder. I want to be able to use a ladder all match." Or you could have had for it be the number 1 contender for the world title. That match didn't... So this match, to me, did not need the world title. So Moxley's a 4-time champ. He's going to do horrible promos. Who's going to be the next challenger? Is it going to be Darby Allin? Because I think it would have been better for Darby Allin to be the winner, and you could have had the same ending where they're beating the crap out of Darby, they're beating the crap out of Danielson. They still do the thing where they duct tape Darby Allin to the bottom rope.
Yep.
You could have like Pac or somebody holding the belt in his face, saying that, you're not going to have this for long. And then you could still have Wheeler Yuta come out and act like he's going to help and then be the one to put the bag over Danielson's head.
Yep.
I'm not a booker, but to me that sounds like a better scenario than the shit finish that they did for this.
Definitely.
So I hope you do watch some of this because it was. I mean, I don't like Moxley a lot, but I thought it was still a good match. But it just that I don't know what they're going to do to explain this, but I don't think it's going to be any good no matter what they do.
Nope.
But I did enjoy the pay-per-view. I mean, the Mark Briscoe Jericho match, I liked it for Mark Briscoe because Mark Briscoe's really good, and to say he got a passable match out of Chris Jericho. I don't know. I hope I can get you to. I want you to watch some of Wrestledreams, so at least a couple of the matches, so you can let me know what you think of it.
Yes.
Maybe both of us can watch Halloween Havoc, the NXT one, and I picked Halloween Havoc 90. And you picked 98, which has one of the worst matches of all time, but I do enjoy some of the pay-per-view.
The only reason I picked that was because of just one match.
Right. And I do, the next picks is your segment, but I thought both of us like Halloween Havoc. I thought it would be fun for each of us to pick a Halloween Havoc to review.
And I wanted to pick a shitty one. I mean,
the DDP Goldberg match was good. I mean, the Disco Inferno wrestled 2 times, so Eddie Guerrero wrestled. Did he wrestle Kidman or did he wrestle? I think Eddie Guerrero. I can't remember. I think it's an alright. And 90 I really liked, so we will be reviewing those.
And which we already reviewed our favorite one right here.
Yeah, 97. So we'll have those reviews, and I'm sure there'll be more stuff to talk about. And on the next episode, we got to talk about the boys. I don't want to do it on this one because we've already gone an hour. But we will talk about the boys on our next episode.
Yes, and this fat man needs to get home and eat.
Yeah, so follow our social media at Cheap Pop Show on Facebook and Twitter. I don't do Twitter as much because that's a cesspool right now. But I do post, certain things, updates that we do on Twitter. And cheappops.redbubble.com for merchandise.
Merchandising.
You love that so much.
Yes, yes I do.
And cheappopshow.com, which is pretty much just a gateway for all of our social media, and it has a link directly to our YouTube. Please subscribe, like, comment. We're up to 40 subscribers. I'm not expecting us to get up to thousands, but I'd like to get up to maybe 50. Maybe if pie in the sky, 100 would be amazing. We're having fun doing this. We enjoy doing this. I'm trying to get him to talk more, but it's So if you enjoyed it, please let us know. If you hate it, we've had haters. We've had people tell us our show sucks. That's fine.
Haters can hate.
Yeah, I like comments. I want to know. We do have friends that tell us, what they think about the show. Most of them like the show because they like us or they think we're doing good. But I do want to hear comments. I do, even if they're negative. If you think we suck or you think there's something we can improve, we want to hear about it. But we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you had fun. I'm Dave.
I'm Nick. Pop Guys out.